Welcome back to another episode of Definitely Not Mechanics. In this episode, we're going to be putting front struts and lower control arms on this Dodge Journey. This how-to is going to apply to any body style that's in the same generation as a 2017. It may stretch to other body styles as well. I'm not an expert, you look that up. This one's a 17. So we put some Moogs on here maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. Those are blown out, so it's definitely time for an upgrade. By upgrade, I mean factory similar quality. But today, we're gonna go with the Gabrielle Ultra Quick Struts, the G-Force. That's the important stuff. We've got the Mevo Tech Supreme lower control arms. This is gonna come with all the bushings, ball joints, and then this bushing as well. I don't know. I don't even know if it looks like that, honestly. I have not looked into how to do this, so you guys are figuring it out with me. Come along for the ride, maybe learn something. So, I'm gonna start by taking the wheel off. Anybody watching this video shouldn't be a stranger to what I'm doing here. But, for reference sake, it's a 19 millimeter. Use my Mac impact, make sure you're going in reverse. Definitely time for a new tire there. Okay, so I've made a plan here. We're gonna start with the lower control arm. We've got a bolt going up that way, another bolt right here going in this way, and then on the bottom, the ball joint is actually part of the knuckle itself, so we'll just be dropping this one right here down. Let's put you guys in a good situation to watch me. This is 18 right here. Watch out, because that nut's going to be a little hot. Just threaded this nut right back on. That way we can hit this with a hammer right here on the control arm itself, and it'll loosen the ball joint away from it without using like a pickle fork or something like that. This way you don't have to worry about damaging your boots with the pickle fork that could be the wrong size or something of that nature. So just give it a bang on each side until it pops off, and then we can move on to pulling off these other bolts. All right, so we've got a, what is this, 21? Yeah, I got a 21 right here on the bottom. It's 24 on top, I believe. I'm using a 15/16 because this place doesn't have any standard or metric wrenches. Ooh, find the bolt. You guys that aren't using power tools may not have to get a swivel, get up in there, but you know. Oh. Turns out I was right. It's just a capture nut in there. Oh yeah, that's not under a lot of tension or anything. All I'm doing there is just pushing in and out against the rotor so that arm has some play to pull the bolts out. Make sure you remember which bolts go where. One way I like to do it is have the other control arm already out. Just slide them through. Be a decent keeper for it. This one should come out pretty easy. Just gonna couple taps here. Downward pry. Look at that, falling right out. Again, we're gonna put this right on through where it goes, not right there. I've dealt with this on a lot of designs like this, where it's kind of shifty getting this thing out of here. I'll take a pry bar, put it over here. You can try to push it out this way, pull it out, do what you need to do there. Came out on this side, So now we just kind of need to pivot that part all the way out. Come to think of it, we're probably going to have to take that sway bar off now. Now you see that there's a star slot in the middle of it. That's if you're taking it off and it starts spinning the joint inside there. But we're going to use air tools, and hopefully that's going to pull it off with so much force that it won't spin it or have a chance to. Looks like it's still spinning it. Alright, so we've got the appropriate size to go in here. Now, I'm going to do this in a way that you're probably not supposed to do. This is the way I've always done it. It's quick. Put our 18 mil right there. Put our star in it. And then take your stubby 3/8 Arctic Cat, I don't know, you just put it right on there and send it home. That's the way I've always done it. And remember, when you're doing this, you're tightening, not loosening, because the nut is loosening, so you should be tightening. Get it with your strong hand, hold tight. Now I'm sure a lot of people say, oh, you're gonna damage it doing it like that. Oh, you're gonna mess it up. Well, I think it's going to be fine. Once we have the sway bar links removed on both sides, you can see that our sway bar moves freely. We can prop it up to about right here. You can zip tie it from this mounting hole to this mounting hole, keep it out of the way, but I don't think it's too much of a bother right there. We're just going to slip this guy over, give it a nice wiggle all the way out. You gotta be careful when you're putting these in, because you can definitely bind yourself up. I've done it before, it's not funny. So I'm gonna try to maneuver everything with my knees at the same time. It could help to have a little bit of motivation while you're doing this. The old liftaroo. Watch your fingers while they're up under there. Definitely don't want to get smashed up. Like I said, it's always good to have a little bit of motivation. Sometimes you gotta hit things with a hammer in order for them to go where you want. So what I actually had to do to get that one to go in there straight, as you can see, the bushing is sitting parallel with the vehicle right now. That's because we have the weight up against the suspension from the jack. That way we could get that centered. Otherwise, the top of this hole would be all the way towards us and the bottom would be all the way that way. And I'll show you what I mean right here when I let the jack down. You'll be able to see the way this bushing actually tilts down towards you. So now beginning on the struts, what we've got to start with here is taking off this cowl panel. And there's some screws, there are some clips. It's just kind of an assortment depending on if your vehicle's been worked on or not. Who knows? This was missing clips the last time I put stuff in here, so the clips may be mismatching. Typically, you just stick a screwdriver in it and pop it out. All right. So when you're doing this, you'll see 1, 2, and 3 clips up here. Then there's going to be a clip here, one in a similar location on that side. And then this one actually had screws holding these in into some sort of weird hybrid clip, I don't know. This guy comes off, put him somewhere safe. Somewhere where you're not gonna step on it. Okay, so there's 4 clips across the front. Once I got those loose, I'm able to gain access to these bolts back here. You can either take your wipers off or not. I'm gonna go with the knot. And there's little access holes in the top of this strut brace plate. You can get to this one, there's one on the back side where you can get to that one, and then you can still get to this one with a wrench. So you can take this off, you have to disconnect this and then 4 bolts on each side, or you can do it the way I'm going to do it, save yourself a little bit of time maybe. So I'm going to pull this one off first because it's going to be the hardest to get to, and then I'm going to work on the other 2 with some electric tools. I'm gonna get that one all the way to where it's finger tight, and then I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. That way I don't have to work as hard on those later. Now, I don't want to get them too loose. I'm not trying to take them completely off right now. All I'm trying to do is make sure that it's got a little bit of wiggle room. And you'll see why once we get onto there and start taking everything else apart. Now remember, we've already taken our sway bar links off, so we don't have to worry about those. The only remaining bolts to take off are going to be the 2 that hold it to the knuckle, and then you've got to take off your ABS hold down and your brake line hold down, and those are these right here. Let's start with those. Okay, 13 millimeter. Okay, that was kind of weird. Don't know what my tool was doing there. There we go. Guess not. Hold on. All right, maybe some Bluetooth problems there. What the fuck? Weird. Why is this happening to me? Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Now we're working. So those 2 are free. I'm gonna set them off to the side here. And one thing that I like to do when I'm working on things, and I know I show everybody this every time I make a video, but whoops. Any bolts I take out, try to put them back in the spot that they threaded into. That way, you can keep track of them later. Last thing it looks like is gonna be, let's see, I'm gonna pull this up over. Just gotta pull these out. Simple enough. Should already have the sizes for that. I believe it's gonna be a 21. Wow. A lot of times that nut will come off without even holding something on the other side. Sometimes it won't. Now from here, we'll just kind of want to pry our legs under here to hold this up. And with a little gentle persuasion, we can get this guy out. Now be careful when you let this down because it's going to slide out of here. I push the strut back typically, try to separate that way So you don't want to pull this out too much because of your axle. Let that rest there. Now, like I was talking about earlier, we've got this loose strut in here. We can just finger off these nuts, pull it straight out. Now, you're going to be holding this in place while you loosen the nut on top. And sometimes that can be a little hard to do depending on how much upper body strength that you have. So if I'm not feeling like He-Man for the day, and I have the tools at my disposal, what I'm going to do is pry this up, loosen my nut all the way, put it all the way off, and then come down here and let this down at a better angle. There you go. This guy's off. Now we have our corresponding side. Comes with this weird sticker on top. Don't know what that says, but I'm sure it doesn't apply to us. Came with new nuts, which is really nice. These are zinc coated, I believe. I have no idea. So here, you're going to be in a similar pickle that you were just in. You want to prop this in a way that's going to help you while you hold it up and put the nuts on it. There's a couple different ways you can do this, but I'm going to go with the same method that I just used to take it out with the pry bar. Okay. Make sure we're keeping pressure against that bar. And we're going to go ahead and tighten these all down. Come around this way to the back door. Now you may find that one of them's not sticking up as much as the others. And in that case, you'll have to kind of maneuver this strut itself. There we go. Now obviously this isn't going to get my strut nearly tight enough. So I'll have to go back over that. But it's always good to get in the habit of doing that anyways. Now we're going to get back to what we were doing earlier and put this in here. So you want to make sure that all of your lines are still run on the right side. So this guy will move, it's supposed to, so you can rotate it and you can kind of push it back to give you a little room to bring this in. I want to get one of my bolts ready to slip in. You can use a pry bar, jack, however you really feel comfortable. Now please, whatever you do, do not stick your fingers in a hole to make sure it's lined up. You can lose a finger pretty quick. What I typically do is put the bolt in there and move the piece up and down and back and forth until it lines up and starts to slip through even. A lot of people don't suggest this, but I'm my own person. Hammer that through. Always note the orientation of your bolts, which way they're coming, in or out. These were facing backwards. If you're following my methods, watch out for your brake lines. I don't believe these were top and bottom specific. Again, you want to notate that stuff. You got to know. And I just like to get all this stuff out of my way while I do the big tightening. So, doesn't have to be super tight. You know, it's not structural. It's just there to secure a hose. Don't really go hard on this. Don't use a full-size impact. This one's a little one that is typically used for trim handles and stuff like that, but I always do it to do my initial run in the bolts and go back over it with bigger stuff. Then we're gonna tighten this guy down. We have to make sure that we get our sway bar linked back in. So I'm gonna try to fish that in right now while everything's kind of loose. I do not want to put the bottom on yet because I may still need the sway bar out of my way on the other side. So I'll wait to do that part last. We just need to tighten up these big guys right here. Go. Now, I always try to touch all the bolts that I put on and take off. That way I can remember if I tighten them or not. We've already tightened the top, bottom's tightened. We're good here. We just need to do the sway bar. We're waiting to do the other side before we do that. So let me go tackle that real quick. Now that we've got the other side tidied up, we can go ahead and tighten this guy up. Now this one, if you remember, we're gonna have a tough time getting a fit in there. So I've got my swivel attached again. We're gonna try not to hurt ourselves. There we go. Pretty tight. We're done. Well, kinda. Do still have to reassemble this piece, but I'm gonna clean that off first. And that's just putting the clips back in. All right. All right, so we just took the journey on a test drive. Everything seems to check out. Now, I think it's time for me to jump in the pool. Thanks for watching Definitely Not Mechanics. Buy some of our sweet new merch, like the Build Stupid Shit shirt. I guess they probably wanted the news, not the weather.